my name is Christine Marford, and I've come to a code enforcement hearing at Longboat Key, and I'm meeting with a nice man who came in support of a victim of code enforcement, and he is a former owner of a piece of property. He came to testify for this man, and I just wanted to get his opinion. Everybody says what a great thing for the economy code enforcement is, that it keeps up property value. And I just want to get his impression as a former developer who sold a big tract because the economy tanked. Have you had problems with code enforcement, or do you like code enforcement?
Well, code enforcement is it's a necessary evil, and it has good intentions. Unfortunately, when it's executed poorly, and government officials take the law into their own hands, it creates a lot of problems. In itself, on the surface, code enforcement makes sense. We have to have some rules and some laws, but when it exceeds what, common sense, everyday values, something needs to be done about it. And a great example is what we were just, at a hearing discussing today, over the height of some grass on a commercial piece of property that should have never been mowed in the first place.
Right,
and because it was mowed, now the owner is forced to mow it and take it away from its virgin order of existence. So, the whole thing is based on laws that they make up. They try to enforce, and they're successful. This was a losing battle before we walked in the door today.
So what you were saying, and I thought it was very interesting, is that this isn't an ordinary lot where you could mow it with a regular mower. It's already still in its virgin soil with broken down trees and limbs and rocks and hills, and it's
That's correct.
Great imposition to try to classify this particular lot as a ordinary yard.
It's nearly 4 acres, has trees on it over 100 years old. It has lots of natural brush. It's not even mowable if you try with a conventional lawnmower.
And how do you feel about the $110 an hour? Don't you think these people are already paid a salary? Have you ever heard of something where you talk to a government official and you run a tab of $110 an hour?
I learned something new. That's absurd. I've never heard anything like that in my life. I mean, maybe we should get a refund in our taxes.
Oh, I think so.
Maybe they should be audited, and we should have an opportunity to get some money back, because obviously at $110 an hour, I don't think she's making that much money. So.
Yeah, where is all the money going? Well, of course, it seems like she's an independent contractor as well as a city employee, and I wonder who's paying her for testifying today.
Yeah, that's a great point. And
at $110 an hour, I hope the board's paying.
It was almost like this was privatization in the code enforcement business, because, like I said, that they're getting paid by the taxpayers, plus they're charging additional fees, which is unheard of.
Do you think that this negatively impacts a desire for you as a builder or for anybody as a resident to own property?
Oh, absolutely. People start thinking twice about...
it's a hassle, isn't it?
They want to live somewhere where they can live free. They don't want to live with, a burden of the government on their back every day.
As this progresses, it's been my observation that the economy recedes, and that one of the major components of our economy is the housing market, used and new, and it's my opinion that code enforcement is decreasing anyone's desire to own private property. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Would you try to go out and buy property today, or would you run the other way?
Not out here on Longboat Key, I can tell you that.
Hi, you bought the property from the previous gentleman, right?
Yes.
And you had no idea that you really needed to do anything than to let it grow wild, because it's a kind of a natural piece of property.
It's been totally natural for as long as I know, and prior owners never mowed it, and now all of a sudden I've been asked to mow it, and when it gets to be a certain size or a certain height, fines start getting imposed, and assessments charged to me, which just today in front of this enforcement board, I was informed that I have to pay $110 an hour for any time that I spend talking to or meeting with a town official, trying to find out what has to be done.
And so you really thought that you were, just trying to work with the city and do what you're supposed to do until you got stuck with a huge bill, didn't you?
As a resident of Longboat Key, I thought it would be all automatic, that I could talk to people who work for the town and get information. I've only lived here for a few years, and for now to be socked for $110 an hour, or a total of $1,445 of administrative expenses, never being told in advance that I was incurring these expenses, and then all of a sudden getting blindsided by it, it's a ridiculous situation that I'm going to try to figure out what my next course of action is.
I hate to ask you this, but are you kind of sorry you might have gotten involved with the property?
Yes, and it's a shame, because that's a property that should be developed to help Longboat Key.
And it would bring in more tax revenue, and people would enjoy a nice spot in Florida.
It's totally discouraging to I'm not a developer, I'm not a contractor, but it would be awfully discouraging for people to find out that this is how the people of Longboat Key are treated.
So this is part of my theory on code enforcement. They're always touting code enforcement as keeping property values up, but it's my impression that people want to get out and get away as fast as possible, and the next person, let them deal with it. Is that how you feel?
Yes, I think it's a shame in this day and age that we have to deal with something like this.
And could I ask your name? I forgot to ask you.
My name is Joseph Wolfer.
Okay, and you purchased the property from the previous gentleman. I forgot to ask
Yes, his name is Mark Miller.
Okay. And do you feel that you got a chance to express your argument? I was following you. Basically, what you were saying was there shouldn't be a second violation because there never was a first, because it never should have been mown in the first place.
They never should have forced me to mow it initially, because by doing so, it now requires continual mowing on a regular basis.
Which is a great loss to you, because it's a difficult piece of property to mow. You can't just hire a man off the street with a lawnmower.
I have to bring someone up from Nokomis. I can't find anybody local who can do it.
Because it's a difficult lot.
Very difficult, yes.
I saw something on TV the other day, and they were talking about the benefit of meadows. And they were talking about bees disappearing and other natural species, because people were being forced to keep every inch of property so short that no clover, no what they call weeds, some people call nature. Do you feel that that should be kept for its natural habitat, in addition to the fact that it saves you money? Do you think nature is an eyesore?
You would think that the town would have been very happy to have a natural piece of land, basically virgin land there, where there was no improvement to it at this point in time, and that the animals and whoever lived on that piece of property would be able to live there without a problem. Now, every 3 weeks, I have a major piece of equipment coming in there. I have to cut it, I have to weed whack it, and it's just ridiculous that this has occurred at this point in time.
Do you feel that Longboat Key government is homeowner friendly?
I don't know enough about it, but I was rather disappointed in this board's reaction to my plea that the administrative costs that should not be administrated against me. I was not told in advance that there was going to be a charge of $110 an hour. It's like me going into a restaurant and ordering a meal and everything on the menu is $19.95 for entrees, and because this was a special without being told, it's $64. It just doesn't happen in this day and age.
And you thought you were dealing with a government official who draws a salary, which you probably were, but you're being surcharged for her time.
Yes.
Do you feel that money is really being extorted?
It happened to me. I don't know whether it's happening to other people, but yes, I just got extorted
Trust me.
for over $1,000.
Well,